Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Gibby, whibby. I pull up in a.
And I say, what's up, Goblin Nation? It's Jibrian, and welcome back to the Goblin Show. Happy to see you here. And can you believe these other guys are struggling to do one video a month, and here I am with 2 in 1 week? No offense, guys, unless you're actually offended. In that case, upload more. Now, last time we went over some Rell news, and there were some cool boss sneaks, but the real highlight was the Submarine teasers. What makes them stand out is the clear potential they have. They're not just a new feature, Submarines can add a whole bunch of new possibilities. Clearly, you guys agreed because my Discord has been full of suggestions on how they could make submarines truly amazing. Speaking of Discord, you should consider joining my fleet. If you already have a crew, you can still join our fleet and get invited to events and giveaways. And when you're done with that, don't forget to like and subscribe because I know you've been here before. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, buckle in because delicious times are ahead of you. The first sub suggestion is the ability to shoot torpedoes so that way submarines could have some type of underwater combat. I think this would be cool. I'm kind of assuming they do because when they showed them off, there was like a rocket pod thing on top. The second part of this idea I think is more interesting, where they add a claw so you can grab underwater treasure, because I have seen other people come up with ideas about like sunken ships, and I think submarines really lend themselves well to that kind of idea. And then at the bottom there's an oxygen level and pressure gauge. A lot of people have been suggesting that the submarines can like implode or explode when you're at the bottom and they're too deep. For example, this one also talks about the ship exploding. It says Ocean Gate. And this one says that certain areas should be too deep for submarines, so you'll need like a diving suit. This one doesn't really make sense to me because how is your suit going to be tougher than the submarine? Monkey D. Luffy says, submarine look cool. I agree. Do you guys think that's a real Luffy from the And this suggestion builds off the sneak they showed where there was a shark outside the window. It suggests that you can get attacked by sea beasts and that the ship would actually get damaged and you would have to repair it. Now we already know that the actual ships that aren't submarines get damaged and that you'll need someone to repair them, so maybe the submarine will work the same way. And Spino here has some ideas for some attachments you could attach to submarines, like torpedoes or an engine for speed or a cage, which is kind of interesting because I know divers use those in real life, but I guess in Rell Seas you'd use it to hold prisoners, which could be kind of funny, especially if they can be eaten off the cage. Maybe they could use it like bait. Like aside from roleplay, imagine if having like a prisoner in the cage made more sea beast spawn, which could help you if you're actually farming them, so not a bad idea. Kid Eater here has some good ideas. Submarine raid so you could board like enemy submarines and then get loot. They could do marine and pirate versions of these, so they could be kind of fun. There's repairing leaks, which I already kind of talked about, but this one for some reason mentions knives. He also mentions coatings, which I'm not sure if he's specifically talking about submarines or maybe like making normal ships be able to dive underwater like the way submarines can. I know some people say that's kind of pointless, but they do that in the show. Maybe it has less armor and is more like, because it's wooden, and it's more like a normal way to do it, and then submarines are like specialized so they can go even deeper. Also, I like his idea of being able to upgrade submarines, like making them bigger, maybe adding beds and chests. I think it'd be really cool, and adding stands to display like your gear would be nice, although I think that might work better in like a house. Nice little JoJo reference for you there. And I can't really understand 8 through 10 because I don't speak hieroglyphics, although I'm sure they were banger ideas. Next, we got some more submarine suggestions for upgrades. I actually really like these because they're not really focused on combat, they're more like just quality of life upgrades, like adding more lights and changing the inside of the ship depending on how much you've upgraded it to add more like lights and buttons and stuff. I especially like the part where he mentions the beeping and booping because it is kind of what you imagine when you think of a submarine. And when they showed the submarine footage, all you could kind of hear was like a rumbling from the engine. And I think like beeping and sonar noises would be really cool. Also, I think it's confirmed based on the outline of the submarine we saw, but he also suggests a periscope, which is like, the binoculars you can use from the inside, that what you see above the water. And adding on to the previous guy, this guy wants a sonar that's like a screen, so that way you can have someone sitting in it, making sure. I like this idea a lot because I think crewmates definitely need more things to do when they're in the submarine. Right now we haven't seen much about it. He also suggests heat-seeking missiles for PvP and flares to counter them. I think this would be kind of cool. I know submarines don't actually have this like you mentioned, but I totally agree that it's a video game and you should kind of be able to have fun with it. And especially because it's One Piece, you know what I mean? Like, One Piece is a weird world. You shouldn't really be thinking about realistic when you think of One Piece. And we have another sonar suggestion, but I specifically wanted to shout this one out because this is the first one I saw that made me come up with the idea for doing this kind of video. So shout out to Blackleg Ryan. Rayan? You can let me know. No, this might be my favorite idea in the whole, the whole video. Basically, he wants tiny escape pods in the submarine. I think this would work really well, especially if there's one for like however many crewmates you have, and then each of you goes a different way. I think the clips would go crazy. Like, just imagine you guys are in an intense fight with a sea beast, and it's like, Mayday, Mayday, our ship's going down. and then everyone boards a different escape pod and just launches, and then you have to see who survives and makes it to the surface. This is one of those scenarios that would be so fun when it actually happens that you almost want your ship to go down. Like, imagine if there's more than one sea beast and then you have to steer it like out of the way to make sure you don't hit any of them or draw aggro. I feel like you could make some really good YouTube shorts that would be really good promotion for Rell, so they should definitely do this idea. If they do any of them, I hope it's this one. It's like a cooler version of a life raft. Plus, I like the idea that you could launch an escape pod, but like maybe someone stays on the submarine to lead it away, or maybe they're launching the escape pod to like board another ship, you know, like some covert ops. Now, similar to the last idea, this one's about adding a small submarine, maybe like a one-person submarine, to your actual ship. Not your submarine, but like a ship. I like this idea a lot too because it reminds me of those compartments that Frankie has on the Thousand Sunny, where it's like, you know, they have like a motorcycle in one and like a tank in another. And I think it'd be really cool to have like a loading bay inside your ship for submarines. They could also make them like really small and remote controlled to make them different from normal submarines. Maybe you can just send it out to go pick up a chest. Maybe you remote control it like an RC car. Or they could get really creative, like imagine you pick up an explosive barrel with your tiny remote controlled submarine, and then you like drive to an enemy ship and blow it up. Next we have submarine customization, like paint jobs or things like that. I think this one seems pretty obvious. I can't imagine they're not going to do it. Everyone's kind of expecting this already. But if they don't have it, they definitely should add it. This is necessary. Next, my boy Squid got some really cool customization options and upgrades. The first one is being able to change the color of everything on the inside, including the glass. I think that'd be neat. Though he goes over the radar attachment that everyone said. He even mentions a drainage room, which is kind of interesting. This would be like it fills up with water, that way it equalizes and then you can go outside. Kind of like an airlock. I like this one because that way the exit isn't only the hatch on the top, maybe you can have a bottom exit too. Another interesting idea here is retractable legs. These would kind of work like an anchor for a normal ship. Basically you lock onto the ground, that way your submarine doesn't float away. Also, another good idea here is having big submarines hold smaller submarines that would be faster and weaker. That way you could kind of have like a big hub and then like go out and like do things with the smaller submarine. I like this idea. I think submarines, when you do them right, are kind of like spaceships, you know? And this will definitely fit in on a spaceship. Now, instead of like a robotic arm that could pick up chests, he suggests that there's a harpoon so you could reel them in. I know you can do this in Sea of Thieves, so it's not unheard of. It would be kind of cool. Now, this idea was kind of controversial. Basically, submarines and ships would have their own leveling. That way, when, you know, because they're shipwright. That way, if you were doing shipwright, you'd have to pick submarine or ships, and then like they would level separately. Now, we don't really know what the shipwright's stat does to begin with, but you know, this could be a cool potential. I think what would make this actually really good is if submarines didn't really have that much, because we don't know what submarines are going to come with on launch. But if they do like a big submarine update, they could add an entirely new submarine skill where you can like upgrade submarines. Maybe it's called engineer or something like that. And I think I'm going to call it there. That's about it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Some of you have been really bugging me to get a second upload out this weekend, and I guess that's a nice problem to have, but chill out, relax, buddy, okay? You know what I mean? Like, I already got my video out. This is a bonus, okay? Lucky you. Alright, see you next time, and don't forget to tune in to The Goblin Show once a week.
Like, you are fat tears, like,